Ilia Topuria, who's fighting Charles Oliveira at the end of the month. Like, that guy is insane. That guy's knocked out two of the greatest featherweights of all time, Volkanovski and Max Holloway. Nobody could knock those guys out in featherweight before, and he did it. And he did it, and he made it look easy. You know, he made it look like they're like he's just on another level from everybody. You know, this is an amazing time for the sport, man. It's a crazy time because these guys that are coming in with like one fight in the UFC, they look like world-class contenders, like right away.
Joe Rogan has said what he thinks about the fight that Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira are going to have. However, Charles Oliveira thinks his fight with Ilia Topuria at UFC 317 was always meant to be. This is something he thinks was meant to happen because it is part of his path. When asked about their mutual respect, Oliveira stated that he does not think Topuria has demonstrated much, citing his opponent's extensive talking. Still, Oliveira is unconcerned, thinking that all will be resolved when they fight in the octagon on June 28th, irrespective of whether the fight ends by knockout or submission. Winning is all that counts to him. Winning is another step toward the legacy he is meant to leave behind.
You know, Ilia is someone who talks the talk, walks the walk, and he would have a lot of challenges at lightweight, and he would be a tough fight. All respect there. Do you feel like he's given you that same respect in the lead up to this fight?
Ele encontrou a entrevista que acho que é a primeira vez que você falou publicamente do Ilia, que foi na coletiva lá da tua luta com o Chandler, que você falou que ele era bom, muito bom, que ele falava e fazia, né? Mas o que você tem achado aí de tudo que ele fala?
Cara, sei lá, cada tem...
Besides, Charles Oliveira thought back on his time in the UFC and remembered how he started out as a beginner amid more experienced fighters. In the beginning, he was just a young guy trying to figure out what his role was. He was sometimes overlooked and undervalued. Many people doubted his strength and skill, but his hard-fought wins and strong finishes put them to rest. He thinks of himself now as a real fighter among warriors, skilled, wise, and sure of his place at the top. Oliveira also thinks that going through hard times made him the fierce competitor he is now, always ready for the next big task.
Foda que eu não gosto de ficar falando muito que tudo que a gente fala, você tá ligado, né? Mas tudo burburinho, né? Mas eu acho que já passou a fase disso, né? São 15 anos dentro do UFC, né? Eu entrei um menino lá dentro, eu era só um moleque lá dentro, igual tudo que eu falei pesa, né? Eu sou só um menino no meio dos leões. Hoje eu me sinto um leão no meio dos leões, um leão diferenciado, um leão embaçado. O último, o Charles desiste, eu fui lá e atropelei. O último, o Charles não tem mão, eu fui lá e nocauteei. O Charles não tem não sei o que lá, eu fui lá e fiz. Então eu acho que assim, é tão bagulho, são tantas coisas loucas que, tipo, se a ideia é essa de ficar falando, de ficar cogitando pra ver se vai me abalar, cara, tipo...
However, Joe Rogan praised Ilia Topuria, calling him a brilliant fighter who has achieved things no one else has at featherweight. He said that Topuria was the only one to beat Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway, two of the best fighters in the category, according to Rogan. Topuria made it look effortless, as if he was operating on a separate level than the rest of the competition. Rogan thinks Topuria's move up to 155 pounds demonstrates his dominance at featherweight, as he clears the category and pursues greater challenges.
Ilia Topuria, who's fighting Charles Oliveira at the end of the month, like, that guy is insane. That guy's knocked out two of the greatest featherweights of all time, Volkanovski and Max Holloway. Nobody could knock those guys out in featherweight before, and he did it. And he did it, and he made it look easy. You know, he made it look like they're like he's just on another level from everybody. You know, and then now he's moving up to 155 pounds. He's like decided he cleared out that division. And he's moving up. Like, he's
insane. Yeah,
insane. There's guys like that are just their level is above everybody else's level.
Rogan also highlighted Topuria's whole skill set, saying he is dangerous in every aspect of the fight, including his punches, kicks, and submissions. According to Rogan, Topuria achieves everything with impeccable technique. He regarded him as extremely confident and driven, making him one of the most intriguing fighters in the sport today. Rogan went on to say that this is a strange moment in MMA, with fresh talents appearing quickly and seeming like elite level contenders after only 1 or 2 UFC fights.
With Ilia, it's everything. It's his submissions, his kicks, his punches, everything. He can do anything. I mean, he does everything perfect. All his technique is perfect. He's driven and ultra confident. You know, this is an amazing time for the sport, man. It's a crazy time because these guys that are coming in with like one fight in the UFC, they look like world-class contenders, like right away.
Despite the persistent speculations and discussions concerning his career, Charles Oliveira stayed cool and focused. He recognized that outside noise is constantly present, but he refused to let it influence his thinking or training. While some fighters seek attention online or try to improve their image with bold declarations, Oliveira chose to let his training and performance in the cage speak for themselves. With his next bout coming, he stayed committed to working hard, being grounded, and surrounding himself with supporting individuals.
Vejo os negócios, tipo, se é que vocês estão longe, vocês não estão vendo, mas se você perguntar pros meninos que andam comigo, você vê, tipo, eu dou risada, tá ligado? Porque é coisas tão relativas, enquanto eles estão falando, eu tô treinando, eu tô me dedicando. Você me conhece, eu não sou aquele que tem que ficar postando, aquele que tem que ficar falando, aquele que tem que fazer... Eu sei o que eu tenho que fazer, o trampo é dia 28, então eu tenho que simplesmente se focar e tá pronto, tem 2 semanas para isso acontecer, então eu só tenho que estar feliz perto das pessoas que eu amo e treinando e me dedicando. Ah, pô, mas se você falasse, você ganhava muito mais dinheiro. Fazer o quê? Eu não sei fazer isso, eu não sei falar desse jeito, eu não sei vender a luta dessa forma. Não é o meu jeito de vender, então deixa eu ganhar o dinheiro que eu tô ganhando, que é o único jeito que eu sei fazer dessa forma, tá tranquilo pra minha. Na hora que fecha o queijo lá dentro, eu sei o que tem que fazer, que é andar pra frente, botar minhas mãos, e aí, no final de tudo, o que mais importa é o seu braço sendo levantado.
He recognized his opponent's severe threat, stating his aggressive boxing knockout power and respected Brazilian jiu-jitsu talents. Even though he has yet to show his full grappling ability in the UFC, Oliveira made it clear that he would not underestimate it. To him, this fight was more than just a win. It was an important step toward establishing his legacy. He exhibited tremendous confidence in his own ability and mental focus, meaning to take advantage of the chance and walk away with another victory.
Sabe que ele tem boxe agressivo, que manda 2, 3 mãos, né, andando pra frente. Ele é um cara perigoso, nocauteou o Max Holloway, né, na última luta dele. Então, é um cara que é perigoso, né? Tem um jiu-jitsu que todo mundo fala que é bom, ainda ele ainda não usou no UFC, mas falam que é bom o jiu-jitsu dele. Então, assim, cara, de verdade, eu tô preocupado com o que eu posso levar pra dentro do cage, o quanto que tô feliz, né, com mais essa oportunidade, né, mais algo gigante pro meu legado. Então é isso.
Furthermore, Jack Hermansson expressed his excitement for the next bout between Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira, stating that he is a fan of Oliveira and loves everything he has done. Hermansson said that Topuria looked unbeatable. Right now, based on Topuria's current form and momentum, he thinks Ilia has an advantage in this clash.
Can't wait for that one. You know, I'm a super big fan of Charles, but Ilia has kind of he just looks unbeatable at the moment. So I think I will give it.
Dustin Poirier stated that Ilia Topuria would win against Charles Oliveira despite being the smaller boxer. He conceded that Oliveira may win a submission if he could harm Ilia, but he also mentioned that Charles gets hit a lot, which could be a concern. Poirier stressed his excellent finishing skills and stated he's excited to watch the fight.
With the Ilia versus Charles fight? I think Ilia, man. I think he's going to be way undersized against Charles. I just don't, unless Charles can sub him, maybe if he hurts him, but it's going to be tough, I think. Because Charles gets hit a lot, you know, and Ilia puts people away. I'm excited about it.
Michael Bisping commented on the impending fight between Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira, describing Oliveira as one of the most interesting and talented competitors in the lightweight class. He praised Oliveira's aggressive style and continual pressure, pointing out that viewers are drawn to his action-packed approach. Bisping did, however, bring out a fault in Oliveira's game, his tendency to press ahead without care. He compared it to walking through fire without fear, stating that while Oliveira's daring mentality has resulted in important wins and bonuses, it may also put him in great danger against a fighter like Topuria.
Of course, Charles "Bronx" Oliveira is an exciting fighter, and he is one of the best in the division and one of the most exciting. But it's the exciting style that he has that would give me cause for concern if I was coaching Charles "Bronx" Oliveira. The way that he walks forward like a buzzsaw with reckless abandon, the not giving a damn attitude, it's beautiful to watch. It's very, very entertaining. Nobody will be booing when Charles Oliveira fights, okay? But it's that reckless style that might get him clipped. Charles Oliveira, as we know, he's got the most bonuses, most finishes, most 5 minutes later, right? The man's excitement personified, but he takes a lot of chances.
Bisping also looked at how their styles differ, noting that Topuria fights with a calm, technical approach. He assessed Topuria's defense as tight, with outstanding footwork, strong head movement, and a low stance that helps him to dictate the tempo of the fight. In comparison, he explained that Oliveira's energetic rushes frequently expose his chin and place his head directly on the center line, Yet Oliveira's non-stop offense keeps him interesting to watch. Bisping worried that it could leave him vulnerable to someone like Topuria, who hits hard and rarely misses a chance to capitalize.
Topuria, on the flip side, he's clean, he's composed, he's calm, he's in the moment, the hands are high, the base is low, the head is moving constantly, and he's looking at his opponent. He's tracking him down across the octagon. He's using the feet to corral him against the fence. He's looking for openings, and then he explodes. And when he explodes, we know he's got big power. He might explode the chin of Charles Oliveira. Whereas Charles Oliveira, on the flip side, with the shooter box style, he's walking forward, the head's on a straight line, and the chin's a little up. He's throwing knees, he's throwing elbows, he's throwing everything but the kitchen sink, and we absolutely love it.
Sean O'Malley called the next fight between Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira as a true 50-50th matchup. He recognized that while he intuitively supports O'Malley because of his guts and experience, intellectually he views Topuria as the favorite because of his power and growing momentum. O'Malley noted that Oliveira frequently takes a lot of damage in his battles, which might be dangerous against a hard striker like Topuria. He expressed sincere excitement for the bout, calling it one of the most electrifying matches on the horizon.
Could I get your read on how Topuria versus Oliveira plays out?
Man, that's one where your heart's telling you, Charles, and your brain's telling you Ilia. It's just that one's a coin flip. Can't count Charles out. Ilia's on an absolute tear. Charles does get hit and Ilia cracks. That fight I am very excited for.
Then Thomas spoke about Ilia Topuria's potential legacy if he defeats Charles Oliveira and gets the lightweight belt. He added such a victory would be a watershed moment in MMA history, especially as Topuria had already beaten top fighters like Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway to win the featherweight title. If Topuria were to go up and stop someone like Oliveira, Thomas believes it would show how rapidly he has risen to greatness, possibly ranking him among the sport's all-time greats.
It really comes down to, at the end of the day, for long-term effect, can Ilia Topuria knock out Charles Oliveira and be a lightweight champion? And then if he does do that, where does that rank him in terms of GOAT status, Mount Rushmore? Because if you think about it, I mean, him knocking out Volkanovski and Max Holloway and winning the lightweight or the featherweight title, then if he moves up and knocks out a guy like Charles Oliveira at lightweight and becomes a lightweight champion, I mean, the accolades in itself are incredibly remarkable. And the timing in which he did it and how fast he did it, incredibly remarkable. If he can do that, to me, that would be for sure like just one of the fastest ascensions to greatness that we've seen.
Thomas also addressed the problem of size, stating that people place too much emphasis on physical appearance while overlooking crucial factors, such as speed and accuracy. He pointed out that Topuria's small frame really works in his favor, making him more difficult to hit and allowing him to move faster and cover the gap more quickly. When Ilia lands clean shots, Thomas said that the size difference is no longer relevant since timing and power, rather than muscle and reach, are more important.
Is not a big guy anyway, but we put a little too much into like the idea of size without putting other factors involved in that. I think Ilia uses his smaller frame to his advantage and makes him a smaller target. He defends better that way, and he's faster. And the fact that he's faster, when he gets his feet in position to throw punches and he lands on your chin, the size of the chin is not an issue.
Nonetheless, Thomas acknowledged that stature could be a problem if Oliveira concentrates on grappling. He contrasted Oliveira's body type to Kamaru Usman's, claiming that longer limbs might be a big issue on the ground. If Oliveira wraps around Topuria's legs and gets control, it may be difficult for Ilia to break away. Nonetheless, Thomas thinks Topuria's quick footwork and sharp movement can assist him avoid being cornered, and that his tiny stature should not be considered as a disadvantage in every situation.
So I think that where a size can matter in this fight is if Charles Oliveira decides to wrestle. And same thing like Kamaru Usman, his arms are so long, his legs are so long. So if he decides to wrestle Ilia and he grabs Ilia and he gets around his legs, Ilia's going to have a hard time there. If he gets Ilia down, he's going to have a hard time getting out and just escaping the extremities of Charles Oliveira. I think that might be the biggest issue. But other than that, I think that Ilia's speed and his actual small size, making him a smaller target,
should also come into.
Modestas Vukovskas predicted Ilia Topuria to beat Charles Oliveira, citing Oliveira's highly striking and deadly jiu-jitsu. Nonetheless, he described Topuria as a little pocket rocket noted for his explosive power and close-range exchanges despite his smaller size and height. Vukovskas emphasized Topuria's superb grappling and consistent wrestling, firmly predicting that he will win.
Ilia Topuria. Just because, although Oliveira's jiu-jitsu is very good and he's got very crisp striking himself, I don't know, Ilia Topuria, he's like a little pocket rocket, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? When he comes in close and land those big shots, obviously he's a bit of a size difference in terms of height and stuff like this, but he's also got great jiu-jitsu as well and good wrestling. So yeah, in my opinion, I think Topuria would take that.
According to Anthony Smith, the key to a fight between Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira will be defense faults, which Oliveira has more of. He pointed out that Charles is frequently hit and tends to fight, whereas Topuria's boxing, body shots, and leg kicks are clean, sharp, and technically sound. Smith commended Topuria's great combat IQ and discipline, but questioning how Oliveira could stay safe standing or dominate if the fight went to the ground.
Typically look at, when you get two guys like these two that are very, very good, then you start looking at their defensive responsibilities and who has the larger deficiency. That's 100% Charles Oliveira. He's so hittable. Yeah. He loves to fight into wars. Ilia Topuria does not engage in. He's super crisp, very, very clean boxer, but goes to the body well, leg kicks really well. So strategic and so well thought out, and has an incredibly high fight IQ. I just don't know how Charles Oliveira stays safe in any kind of striking range, fighting the way that he fights with Ilia Topuria. I just think that he's going to get hit hard. He's going to get hurt. And I don't know that he can take down Ilia Topuria. And if he did, I don't know that he would out-grapple him.
Matush Gamrot predicted that Charles Oliveira would defeat Ilia Topuria at UFC 317. He acknowledged Topuria's power and threat if he landed clean, but thinks Oliveira's stature, striking, and experience will outclass the featherweight moving forward. Gamrot thinks Oliveira's strength and diverse skill set make him a genuine threat, and he expects him to end the fight before it gets the distance.
Who do you think wins, Ilia or Charles?
Interesting matchup. The both guys has changed. Like if Ilia hit Charles Oliveira head, so he can knock him down for sure. But I think Oliveira is so big for him and for all-rounder fighter, and I think Oliveira will win this.
Gamrot viewed the match as entertaining and competitive, with both guys capable of winning. Nonetheless, he leans somewhat towards Oliveira because to his size, cage time, and ground game, he warned that if the bout went to the mat, Topuria would be in danger. And he recognized Oliveira can be unpredictable. Gamrot thinks his jiu-jitsu and grappling skills provide him a distinct advantage. That might win the bout.
You think Oliveira's going to win? I haven't heard a lot of people say that.
I think so. He's big. It depends how his performance will be in the fight, because sometimes he looks bad, but sometimes he looks fantastic. So I think that in the ground, he will be much better for Ilia. Especially like the gabarit is much different. Oliveira is big guy, Ilia is small guy. So if Oliveira catch him in the ground, I think this is gonna be big problem. But like I say, Ilia can knock him out for him also, So this is like 50-50, but I think Oliveira will win.
Michael Chandler thinks the matchup between Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria is difficult to call. He lauded Oliveira for his brilliance in all areas, making him a tough opponent to defeat. At the same time, he recognized Topuria's powerful and precise striking, which gave him an advantage on the ground. Chandler has met Oliveira twice and appreciates his durability and overall game, which adds to the fight's intrigue and unpredictability, as both men have the potential to win.
Who do you think is going to win?
Man, it's tough. You don't bet against freaking Charles Oliveira because he's so dang good everywhere, and he's a really hard guy to beat. With that being said, Ilia Topuria's got some crazy power in his hands and crazy accurate strikes. So it'll be very interesting to see how that fight goes. You got to think that the striking department, it leans toward Ilia, but Charles is tough everywhere, man. Obviously fighting him twice.
So, what are your feelings about this? Please share your ideas in the comments box, and if you liked the video, subscribe and like it.